Morning everyone. A warm welcome to Mentoring Summit India 2024. We are excited to have such a talented and diverse group of professionals gather here today, all sharing a commitment to empower, inspire and positively impact the lives of those we mentor. This summit is a fantastic opportunity for us to learn from each other, build connections and exchange insights that will shape the future of mentoring. Thank you for joining us and here's to a meaningful and enriching experience together. Welcome to our session, Crafting an Effective Mentoring Curriculum, the Power of our Structured Activities in Shaping Successful Mentorship. We have Dr. Anushila Chatterjee, Nisha Nair, to brief us about effective mentoring curriculum. The curriculum is vital as it creates impact and measurable progress in mentorships. Anushila Chatterjee is the lead of the program and design team at Vigyan Shala. A major part of her role at Vigyan Shala is to develop online career development courses. She has done PhD in biochemistry from State University of New York and also did postdoctoral training in microbiology from University of Colorado School of Medicine. I welcome Anushila. Nisha is the senior manager for curriculum and content development in Mentor Together. Basically, she's working on designing evidence-based curriculum strategies and also a L&D professional with proven years of experience. I welcome Nisha.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. I hope you are enjoying the summit. You have been enjoying the summit so far? Yes? Okay, great. Okay, I'm just curious, by show of hands, how many of you are actively involved in designing curriculum for your programs? All right, very few, but great. Okay, so let's try to learn something from each other today. Yeah. I'm sure you would want to know who else is in the room. Yes? Okay, so let's do a quick mingling activity, shall we? All right. If you want to, you can get up and walk around. If not, just be seated and I'll tell you what to do, okay? Just look around yourselves and I want you to find one person that you can speak with, just one person as of now, okay? And I'll give you something, okay, to start off with. You have to just walk up to that person, or if you don't want to walk, just lean over the table and speak to the person and share one thing about yourself. We'll start with something light. So the thing is, if you had a superpower, what would that be and why? Please share with the person next to you or around you, one person. And in the course of doing this, please introduce yourselves, where you're from, what you do. You get 10 seconds, then you have to switch, okay? One person. All right, time's up, time's up. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this small little chat that you had. Okay, please return to your seats. Great, okay. Now that we know each other better, let's learn from each other a little more, okay? Right. Okay. So let's talk about the effectiveness of a structured curriculum, right? Which is one of the crucial things in a mentoring program. Did that come up when you were discussing what is one of the crucial things in a mentoring program? Did anybody say curriculum? Oh, okay. Okay, but you were coming to that point, I hope so. Okay, great. So in the next 1 hour or so, what we are going to explore is these three objectives. Okay, one, we will look at what are some of the things that are impacted in a mentoring program, specifically 3 elements that we will look at because of a structured curriculum, right? Then towards the next section of the workshop, we will look at, we'll learn from some of the examples that Anushila and I will share about one of our programs, how we have curated the curriculum for one of our programs, right? And how it has been done, the impact and other things. And the last thing is, we will look at crafting a mentoring curriculum for your programs. Okay? So based on a set of guidelines, probably you can look at how you, some of the guidelines and some of the questions you can keep in mind when you curate your own curriculum. That will be the last part of this workshop. All right? Okay, so let's get into the first objective. Right. So I'm going to share some research and some evidence that we have about the effectiveness of a structured curriculum. Okay. Now let me give you a little background first. Mentoring is usually two types of approaches, right? Okay. We have a relationship-based mentoring approach, and then we have target-specific mentoring approach. Okay. Relationship-based is usually So a relationship-based mentoring is something that was traditionally how mentoring started off. Even in America, even now, that is the primary form of mentoring that people use, right? But there were some people like David Du Bois and Gene Rhodes who beg to differ, okay? And they found out some things through their studies and surveys that when there is, relationship is great, right? And it should be part of mentoring. Otherwise, it will be just a teacher-student relationship. Right? But even in mentoring, when there is an element of specific targets, okay, or goals that are set in the beginning itself, then the outcome is much better of those mentoring programs, right? And even the relationship also strengthens when people work towards common goals, okay? So these are some of the stats that we could figure out, okay, based on these papers that we referred to, where there was a comparison that was drawn between a non-specific mentoring relationship and a specific mentoring relationship. So there was a study that was done for about 48 mentoring programs, right? And some of the observations. First of all, the outcome of a non-specific mentoring program, whatever it was, of a specific mentoring program was double, more than double of that. So the effect size was more than double. Okay, that was one thing. And it was found that people, when there is a specific target, the length of the mentoring relationship also increased. So traditionally, people who would, drop off the program after 6 months or 1 year, it seemed that it increased when there are specific targets. Maybe they waited till the targets were achieved or something like that. And once those initial targets were achieved, they thought that, okay, these targets can evolve into something better or more, right? So that was one observation. And of course, there were measurable growth outcomes, right? It was shown that, after the study that was done, 14% of increment was seen in areas like academic skills and essential skills and social functioning. Okay, there was a 14% increment compared to a mere 6% when it comes to non-specific mentoring relationship. Okay, so like I said, David Du Bois and Gene Rhodes, these are some of the people that we refer to, their papers, and I'll be sharing that in resources with you in the next half, okay? These are the people who said that target is a little more, the outcomes will be better of a mentoring relationship if there are specific targets. Okay, so that was that, and that is the evidence behind why a structured curriculum or a program is essential. Okay, moving to the next one. Research it has its own credits and merits, and it has its own place. But what better than from hearing these kind of testimonials from our own people, right? When somebody attests to the fact that yes, a structured curriculum or a session has helped me discuss some things with my mentee, that has more credibility. So I have put up some testimonials, you can just go through them. So these were our mentees and mentors. Anybody from the audience who wants to share anything you have heard about the effects, positive effects of a structured curriculum? Any examples? Yes.
So, we are an NGO, Catalyst for Social Action. We work with children in need of care and protection. So, we developed an in-house mentoring model where our program officers, aftercare program officers, were already working with these children. They, apart from their other lessons, they took around 3 to 4 mentees for mentoring.
Right.
And what we did with them is like we did a training for the program officers on mentoring, where we spoke about the nuances of mentoring, what processes to use, and what kind of conversation, like, how you need to have, how the process needs to be more of self real exploration rather than you giving them the suggestions.
Absolutely.
And then based on that, what we did is the mentor, that is a program officer, with each mentee set up a goal, like, this is a particular goal that we are trying to achieve through these mentoring sessions.
Right.
And then based on that, they had their mentoring sessions. Like, if I have to give you an example, there was one young adult of ours who was doing very good in the course, but was not able to, adjust with the work culture, because of which he was not ready to continue with the job and everything. So the mentor and the mentee both consensually decided a goal that they will work on this particular aspect,
Right.
that how to easily build up that confidence so that he can easily get involved in the workspace. So the sessions were then more in that way, like what are the struggles that you're facing, so what do you think can be the possible solution, do you think you need to upgrade some skills, maybe learn some spoken English and all. So like that we could see that where the mentor and the mentee worked with that particular goal, they were able to achieve it to some extent.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
So I'm from the same organization, and I just want to add it to that. And I really want to, there are so many people who are working in the like-minded space. And what we could see, there is a difference in coaching, there's a difference in counseling, there is a difference in mentoring, and there is a difference in terms of if someone is sitting at reception and telling you about the information, and we are considering that as a counseling. Okay, so here we really need to put a focus that the kind of mentoring which we are talking about, it should be more of exploratory rather than prescriptive.
Right.
And that is really working out well with us.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And yes, yes, please.
I don't know who is there.
So one of the interesting thing which we are doing, I run an NGO called AKM Impact Foundation, and one of the project which we are doing is we mentor. I actually don't want to use the word mentor; it's a little complicated there. So with disabled people, correct? And and the focus area is military veterans. The difference here is like that every military personnel who is disabled is an acquired disability. It's not, you're not congenital, you're not born with the disability. So the challenge starts with even the person. So let's say I am asking somebody that, okay, I'm kind of helping them in getting the job opportunity because they are no longer employable in the military, so they have to go out. So starting from making that person realize that that's not the end of life, and you start looking for it. Why are you interested? What should happen? How things move? So that's a long journey. So even like for somebody to be looking up that, okay, I would like to work somewhere outside, and since they have worked in a very sheltered environment, so do it. So this is a journey, and this is also we are trying to build a model. Can we do it at a scale? Like, can somebody who is not trained can do that? with little guidance. So this is an interesting journey. We are also learning. We have, as of now, around 10 mentors who are trying to do it in some way, and we hope to bring it to this number to around 2,000 in next 2 to 3 years. Yeah, so very interesting experience for me also. A lot of learning and unlearning there itself.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Lalit from Udyankar, Delhi, and actually we are running our mentoring program for or a different set of beneficiaries. Like we are running mentoring for the fellowship program for the girls. We are also running mentoring program for the children, those are living in children homes, and we are also running a program for the youth, those are coming out from child care institutions. And the program is being implemented in 5 states of India, and around 700 of youth are under this program. But what I observe, as we have targeted that we have to provide them kind of skilling in hand and to improve their soft skills and make them job ready and ensure they are placed in jobs. And we know that these are the areas where mentor has to work. But still, I believe that a structured curriculum should be exist there so that a mentor can ensure the kind of mentoring he has to, or she has to provide them. So that is my core learning from here, that there should be something that mentor can follow.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Finish.
Hi, I am Satyam from Lodha Foundation. So we have been working with gifted students, and especially from grade 9 to 12. So I see, and recently, like since last 2 months, we have started the mentorship program as well. Now it's too early to comment on the students' growth and progress, but I feel the structured curriculum or the structured approach to the program has helped us to get early feedback on the program, wherein we can make the necessary changes. We have templatized the feedback that the mentors are giving us about the mentees, about their conversations. And even from the mentees, we are getting the feedback in a very structured manner about the mentors. So that early on, as early as we act upon it, I think the better the outcome of the program would be. So that's my take on structured curriculum and program.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
for that.
Yeah, only I just want to add, I am Manish Rawat from Uttarakhand. Right now I am in a fellowship program in Maharashtra, Ratnagiri. So I will add one more thing, that structure, especially curriculum, help us. It's a roadmap to go through, and as per the situation or the dynamics we can modify it. That will be helpful, because all structure are not possible to work in the same environment and a different environment. So if I have a structured curriculum, then we can design as per the needs of the community. So it will be very helpful.
Absolutely. Yes.
I have a little bit of a question, and maybe I would seek advice from you. I'm working in Magshala Foundation, and we work in Uttarakhand for rural entrepreneurship.
Right.
Yeah, and our fellows are people who come from different kinds of business backgrounds. And the challenge is, how do I create a structured curriculum for people who are coming from different backgrounds, have different needs, relationship-wise also. The friendship model, as we heard in the panel this morning, and even in terms of goals, because they're coming from different kinds of business backgrounds. And a lot what we seek from the mentor is their experience in navigating their own field, and other additional business related challenges, and as well as maybe sometimes family related challenges, which are very different for a woman entrepreneur coming from a very traditional rural background versus somebody who's a little bit more experienced, say from the city, smaller city,
Right.
things like that. So how do I fit in the idea of this curriculum for such a diverse group who all need mentorship but then require it in different levels and different kinds?
Right.
So
Yes.
your thoughts on that, please?
Sure. Before I share my thoughts, can we get into some of the program examples? Then probably you will have a better idea of what kind of framework you can think about for your own program. Okay? And then, when we work on the handouts for our own programs, maybe you'll have a better idea. And then if you have any questions around that, again, let's talk about that. Does that make
Works.
sense? Okay, great. All right. So let me take you through one of Mentor Together's example first, and then Anushila will share something from her program. Okay. So generally, before we start off with a particular example, I wanted to say that ADDIE model is the basic instructional design model that we all use to curate a curriculum, right? How many of you are aware of this model and use it probably? Great, okay, great. All right, so these are the 5 stages of the ADDIE model. I'm not going to get into the details of this, it doesn't make sense. So if you want to take pictures, you want to just look at the slide, that's more than enough. But when I speak about our program, I'll be aligning to these stages and how we have progressed through these stages, okay? Just for 5 seconds. ADDIE model. Sorry. Okay, shall we move on? Yeah. Right. Okay, so I'll be talking about the work readiness curriculum that we have curated for one of our programs. Okay, and next slide, please. Right. So let's talk about the first stage, which is the analysis phase, right? And in analysis, what we have done is, this is what we have done, okay? So I'm talking about our program. We have done extensive study of some of the papers, like I mentioned some names before. We have done study of that in mentoring, right? Some of the evidences and all of that. One sad part is that most of the evidence that we have about mentoring, youth mentoring in India right now comes from America, okay? So that is one more reason why the summit is happening, so that we can share, we can build a bigger ecosystem here to have more of these studies, which is customized to Indian diaspora, right? Okay, so based on our studies, what we realized is there are these 6 critical scales that mentees need, okay, as of now. And our target audience is the students who are in the pre-final years of their graduation, right? For them, these are some of the crucial skills that they need to transform smoothly from campus to career. So this is what we figured out, and based on this, we started building our curriculum on these 6 scales, okay? Now this is something that we use as our baseline survey as well with all the mentees who are onboarded. Okay? All right. Now getting into the design part, right? Based on the survey and based on the responses that we get for each of those parameters, what we did was we identified some basic themes, okay, of what a curriculum could be around, some basic themes, okay. So some of the themes were understanding myself and my needs. We realized that, you know, students in that particular age group, probably they have never thought about what they want, what their emotions are, what their capabilities are, personality is, and how that can be aligned to their career choices, right? So that is one that we thought could be a major theme. Then apart from that, knowing emotions and managing them well, knowing your own emotions, discovering values. That was, it's actually a very popular topic also in our curriculum, my value system and what could it be, what are my priorities, things like that. Understanding the world of work, of course, okay, so there are some very technical things. When you think about career, first things that come to your mind, what are some of the first words that come to your mind when you think about job? Salary. Okay, now finding a job, yeah, let me clarify that. Yes, resume, interview, correct, yes, thank you, okay. So understanding the world of work, some of the topics that we thought could fit into this particular theme could be that, right? And developing a growth mindset, very, very important. Like you were saying, people come from diverse backgrounds. Our students also are from very different backgrounds, very different states actually, different cultures, right? And they come with very different mindsets from each other. So that is one thing we thought is very, very important as a theme, to have certain topics and sessions that can orient them to a growth mindset, right? So that these are some of the themes that we thought could be helpful. So we are in the design stage, okay? Analysis is done, we are in the design stage. Then we thought about, okay. Sorry, I hope I was audible till now. Okay, right. So then we thought about, it's not like, when I start off, I need to learn everything, right? Maybe when I start off, there are certain things I need to learn. Then as I progress, as I get accustomed to the program, to what I already know, what I don't know, maybe there are some other topics that will help. So there is a progression that we wanted to fit in our curriculum, right? It will not be all together, but gradually build on some things that you have learned. So basically in mentoring, there are these 4 stages that we have identified. Okay, connect is when mentors, mentees come together. They get to know each other, they set the initial ground rules of the program, right? Then level is when they decide that, okay, we are going to remove that power imbalance if there is any, right? And we will be on the same level because we are talking to each other as peers now. And then empower is when they actually start building on what they need to do, what are the targets of the goals of the program, and how they can go about achieving them. And the last one is evolve. That is towards the end of the relationship. There they decide, have we achieved the goals that we set? How is our relationship? Do we want to continue with it? How do we continue with it? These are the things that come to their mind. So our entire curriculum is actually fit in these 4 brackets. Right? There is a beginning and then progression and then there is an end of the program, not the relationship. Okay? So that's how it goes. So we thought about the progression, of course, and then very important, we had to make it learner-centric. Now learner-centric, our target audience is the students in pre-final year. What are some of the things that students in that age group would like when it comes to learning? Any thoughts? Smartphones. Yes. Yes. Yes, thank you. Activities, smartphones. Videos. Good you said that. Yes. Absolutely, yes. So these are some of the things we have kept in mind, okay? This is a snapshot of how one of the sessions on the app looks like. Okay, if you see, there are steps, and then each step has one concept and probably an activity or a quiz or something like that. And if you see, it's a hybrid model. So there is self-paced learning combined with instructor-led learning. So some of the steps, the mentees and mentors, they do it on their own. Okay, they figure out how to do or go about certain things. Then they come together and then they discuss it. And that way they learn a little more and share things with each other, right? So that's the model primarily that we use. But again, based on feedback, I've not come to feedback yet, but I just wanted to say that this structure is gradually changing. But how it is changing, I'll tell you in the last section of the ADDIE model, right? So yes, this is how it is. So our thought behind keeping some steps as self-learning was to give them the autonomy to learn things on their own, which is one of the important things that we have figured out that students nowadays would like, right? Some kind of an autonomy, some kind of a space of what they want to learn, how they want to learn. So that was one thing. Right, and yes, somebody mentioned videos. A lot of our modules have been reduced and comprised into videos, which we have done in-house actually. Okay, a lot of videos, storyboarding is there. So everything, concepts don't start with, okay, this is what has been said or done by somebody else, but it's like, you know, here is Ravi. Ravi is going through this particular problem. And these are Ravi's thoughts. So if you had to be in that situation, what will be your thoughts? And we have made sure to keep names and situations very, you know, tailored and customized to our Indian students as much as possible. Even in the videos, now this is one type of video, even in the videos if you see, there's a lot of color because color engages them. And the characters also in the stories and how they look on the screen also is very, like, you can relate to them that way. And there's a lot of reduction in text as much as possible. Even if there is text, we try to put it in bullet points as much as possible. That is one thing. And yes, somebody mentioned in the audience also that a lot of self-reflection is much better than wrong or right answers, right? So that is something that we have made sure of keeping in our quizzes, right? And yeah, just once more. Yeah, if you see this particular thing, I don't know if you recognize this, but when you started building your LinkedIn profile, this is what you filled out, right? So this is one of the sessions that we have as part of resume building for our students. This is to keep in with the relevance, what is relevant for them in today's times. Okay. Of course, after learner-centric, we were talking about design, right? And implementation is the next stage in the model. Of course, implementation when it comes to our primary model is delivering sessions online, right? So it's a digital app that people use. And people, you said that students want smartphones. So that's one of their excuses to take smartphone from their parents, saying that, okay, I'm going to learn something online. All right. So yeah, modality is primarily this. And the last stage is, of course, evaluation, right? Very important stage. We have a three-pronged evaluation method. So there are three things that we do. One is, of course, the immediate feedback that you have after each session ends. Okay, a couple of questions like, were the activities engaging? Was it relevant to what you do? And was it easy to understand? Yeah, I think something I missed was we try to keep our language very, very plain. So a lot of this is research-based, the modules, but we filter it down, dilute it down to very plain language as much as possible. Also, using inclusivity, right? We don't really say him, he, or she, her as, just binary genders. We use the pronouns them and they and all of that. Yeah, that's something. Feedback, just 1 minute. So yeah, I was talking about feedback. We have, of course, the immediate feedback. Apart from that, we have something called as the fidelity check, okay, which is a monthly exercise that we do, where of course, we have one pair manager, who is assigned to each pair, right? That pair manager, as soon as a pair completes a session online, of course, everything is on the dashboard. When they come to know of that, they go and they check the quality of the answers. This is just to see whether how we intend the module to be and how it should be used. Is it being used the same way or not? Right? So that is something we check. And if we see that consistently there is some pair, any pair who is not doing well with their answers or the quality is dwindling, then of course there is a call that is set up and we try to identify the reason that way. Okay? And the third one is, of course, I mentioned a baseline survey and there has to be an endline survey. So we measure after the program, we measure the mentees on the same 6 parameters and see what is the needle movement. And there has been. Right, I think, so that's how our work readiness curriculum has been curated, is been running. And yes, I wanted to tell you something about feedback, right? So, so I showed you a multiple step session. Then after we collected the feedback and we had a lot of analysis of the feedback, we came to know that certain things are not really working, okay? So session completion was something that we were struggling with. People were having a lot of conversations with the mentors, but they were not actually completing sessions online. Then we realized that the autonomy that we gave them in the beginning to do some things by themselves, they did not really like that. So they actually wanted their mentor to guide them. And when they did things in a group or with a mentor, we realized that they were much more efficient and they were completing their assignments. So what we did was, we compressed those multiple steps into one single step. Okay, and it feels like less of work also, right? Like you're completing 5 different steps and one session gets completed. That was like, okay, too much work they thought about that. So what we did is one step, one concept, one session. Makes it very simple, more effective, and yeah, that's a new experiment we have started. The results are yet to come, but we are seeing some improvements. Okay, thank you. I will stop talking now. Yeah, over to you, Anushi.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, extremely sorry for the voice. So thank you, Nisha, for setting the stage, and thank you, Mentor Together, for giving me the stage. Like she mentioned, I come from an academic background. I actually joined Vigyanshala as a mentor volunteer. And then I think my mentees had convinced me to actually join the organization as a full-time employee. Next. So this is the flow of the session that why do we need a structured mentorship program, and I think Nisha has mostly covered that, so I'll not go into very details. Then I will talk a little bit about our She for STEM program. And then I have an interesting question for all of you. And then I will walk you through some of the design strategies that we use to actually design the curriculum and the modules or even a particular session. And I do have 2 handouts here. They're long because unfortunately I am from academia, so everything is long. So I have just printed 2. If you want, I can send you it over email. Just send me an email. Next one. Why do we need a structured curriculum? Because there are so many problems that we want to solve. We all have a dilemma. There is limited funding and there is limited time, right? So if we do a need analysis, we know exactly where the issue is. We can build our inputs and activities around that and design our theory of change. And then we know exactly what the outcomes we want. We can track those outcomes. We can track the program implementation. Is our program actually reaching our target audience, right? And is it implemented at every stage properly? We can track everything. And that helps us understand what's the impact, what do I need to change in the program itself, at which stage to get the impact that I want to get. Next. Okay. At Vigyanshala, our She for STEM program is for undergraduate and above women in STEM. So the main challenge in India is we have almost 50% at college level, almost 50% students at STEM courses are women, but they are not reaching the workforce. 2 out of 3 of these girls do not reach the workforce. And that is what the problem this program is focused to solve. We want to mentor them to make sure giving them the confidence, the career clarity and vision, and giving them the skills as well to actually enter the workforce and continue in the workforce, right? I am not going to go through the entire curriculum, but happy to talk to you about this post the session, again, because it's long. Next one. Okay, I should have, please go back. I don't want you to see the answers. Tell me, why do you think Super Mario as a game, why was it so popular? Is this our audience good enough for Super Mario? Anyone who has played Super Mario? Cool, lot of people. Why? Did you already see the answers? Good, okay, yeah, anything else?
also, because we were getting so many brownie points after doing certain things. But I personally, why I did play, because it was cool, it was calming. I didn't like the games which is where there are fighting and all, but I could relate to the character. So for me, I mean, that is why I used to play Mario.
Okay, she likes the music.
And sometimes you would jump into a tunnel, and then will and then you you get into a new world, and I would love the surprise. Like it'll be completely different.
Excellent.
So with the music effects.
Thank you. That's exactly, you can go to the next slide. Okay, that's exactly all the points that I have had. So I hope you have not cheated. In Super Mario, even now it's so popular because it has a natural, intuitive process of engaging people. Once you complete the first stage, you know how to progress, right? Because there are repetitive structures, and you learn through experiencing, right? Nobody is like instructing you to go do this, go do that. You learn through experiencing, and you kind of build the skills as you go. And these are the things that we need to think about when designing a learning experience for students. And that's exactly what we do. We keep the structure very clear and consistent. We utilize repetitive elements. And like this gentleman said, there are smaller milestones with feedbacks. If you lose points, those are small points that you lose. There's no, you are not afraid to fail, right? So those feedbacks and interactive elements that we want to include in our learning experience design. Yeah, that's, you can go to the next slide. So it has a structure. That's what we do. We believe that structure transforms. We organize opportunities throughout the learning in the modules. Students can take informed actions. They know where they would get a reward or where they would get a feedback. That helps students engage in these experiences, and it leads to transformation of the students' minds. The goal is not just a skill, it helps them to think differently, become maybe different people after they have gone through these mentoring sessions. So we have like 2 key takeaways. I think you already know that structure, consistency, clarity are essential keys. We also believe that these are the elements that actually lead to higher order thinking, critical thinking, which is one of the key outcomes that we are looking for in our program. And I will just share 2 design strategies that we use in our program. So the 2 key design strategies that we use are this gradual release of responsibility, where we slowly move the responsibility from the mentor to the mentee, right? In the next slide, I'll explain a little bit more. And the second theory that we use is the transformative learning theory, which basically helps them to understand like how to think, how to gain new perspective, and change their points of view. So like I said, the gradual release of responsibility, this is how our course or curriculum is structured. We start with focused lessons, where the mentor is the key person teaching or sharing knowledge. Then we have guided instructions, where the mentor and mentee are working together on a particular thing, so slowly shifting the responsibility. Then we also believe in a community because the peer-to-peer learning in mentoring is very high. So we have activities where all the mentees do it together, and then we have activities when the mentee is doing the activity by themselves, right? So that is how we slowly move the needle. Next one. So just an example. We have, for the focus lessons, we have pre-recorded bite-sized videos so that, we have less attention spans, Instagram type videos, if I say so, were recorded by mentors themselves. Then we have live guided workshops on those topics. So the prerequisite for attending those workshops is you watch the video. We are not going to repeat that content. Then we have discussion forums on WhatsApp, online, on our app, where we prompt them to have specific discussions on the topic that they were taught. And finally, so they do have collaborative processes, and then finally they have specific assignments related to the topic, right? So this is how we gradually shift the responsibility to the mentee. In transformative learning theories, we think about three things. One is the opportunity, second is the space, and final is the interaction. Next. So by opportunity, what we mean is different experiences that we give to the students, where they, let's say, take perspectives on a particular topic from different students. They tried new roles. We put a very high value on reflection. They also have projects and things like that. So these are the opportunities, some examples that we have in the course. Fractal design is what the space is, basically the repetitive elements that I was talking about. What this does is it leads to higher order thinking. We have, let's say, for example, this is called Bloom's taxonomy. I have it over here. We go from lower order thinking, where they remember, understand the topic they were discussing, and then slowly move to apply, analyze, and then go to even higher, evaluate and create. And we layer this not only in the module design, inside the module as well, like, so it's in every module. Then they will have another activity on analyzing and actually applying that knowledge. Right? So we slowly bring up the complexity of the modules as well as the course, the course as well as a particular session. And of course, feedback and feed forward. Basically, not just negative feedback saying that you have done this part incorrectly. What have they done correctly? And how can that be taken forward to actually apply in real life, right? So that basically helps them critically think and reflect. And so what this structure does is, when we measure the impact of different stages, it definitely shows where the impact is, what are the positive shifts, not just the tangible outcomes, the behavioral change outcomes that we are looking for. We can track that impact. We also know where did we not see a significant impact, right? For example, one of our courses also, like one of the sessions we have is how to make a LinkedIn profile. And they did make a LinkedIn profile. That's the lowest activity that we had. But then we saw that when we measured the impact, there's no impact on students actually using the LinkedIn profiles. So it actually helps us track that higher order activities were not happening, because then we went back and see that they do not have access to internet or device, so they are not actually using this. So basically it helps us track exactly what the problem is in my program design and how do I change that in the next iteration of the program. Thank you.
Okay, we'll quickly move into the activity. My colleagues are going to distribute a couple of handouts to you. There is a working sheet that you can use, and then behind that there is something that I have attached for you as reference from our program. You can refer to that. Please. And after the activity, please feel free to share your inputs from there if you have any with the group. We have a different program for only the final year students. Yeah. So if so basically the program is for pre-final year students. This one that I was giving you an example of. No, that is work readiness. Okay, so what we believe is there are some essential skills also that they need when it comes to transferring to the workspace, right? The workforce. The placement program that I'm talking about, which I did not give you an example of, that is only for final year students. And that is only about how to crack interviews, what are certain things to keep in mind, how to build your resume, only those very specific. Yes, yes, yeah.
You have a question?
Oh, Mike.
Oh, you have a question? You can, for everyone to hear.
I just want to understand a little bit about how you are measuring impact from one academic to another.
Okay. We work with other academics who actually measures the impact. So we work with 86B as they're a impact evaluation organization who helps us design our impact studies. So we do a couple of things for impact evaluation. One is we do a baseline survey with the students. We do mid, pre and post, also sometimes mid, depending on the program duration. Then we also have focus group discussions with not just students. So we work with college students mostly. So we try to have FGDs with other stakeholders to see, for example, with college professors who regularly interact with the students to understand are they seeing any change in confidence level, behavioral changes, negotiation abilities, and if possible with the parents, but not always possible for the FGDs. And so for so we have a theory of change, right? And we know what specific outcomes that we are looking at when measuring the impact. So we look at those outcomes and we kind of divide them into specific outputs and also maybe, let's say, proxy some of those because some of those are not directly measurable, right?
That was my thing. I feel like a lot of what happens within this space
Right.
not really, like it's not necessarily something that you measure in real life.
Right. So the other thing we also do through the program is we sometimes give them time before we measure the impact is we give them time to actually apply their knowledge in the real world. And during that, let's say we call them maintenance time. So at that time we send them specific nudges to see whether to like help them apply that knowledge in the real world, and then we do the end line to see the change. One of the big things of our program is developing confidence to pursue higher education, negotiating or delaying their marriage, because we work with undergraduate girls. This is a challenge. So then in the L9 survey, we kind of ask these things like, have they talked to, have they used LinkedIn to talk to someone about their career when they have learned in LinkedIn? Have they talked to people in their community, in the neighborhood, about different careers that they're doing? If they have siblings, have they talked to elder brother or sister about a career? We also bring in role models, relatable role models. One person was asking, like, how do you address diverse people, right? One of the things that we do is we bring in relatable role models from diverse backgrounds who are now leading in different STEM fields. So what have they done with that knowledge? How are they, have they reached out to that person for further assistance, mentoring, these kinds of things?
So a large portion of this is self-report, right? In terms of me saying, yes, I have, it is most. So then how do you counter things like bias? Is it just the sample size? You ask that many people and then...
Yeah, so the sample size is long, and the question design have to be really careful that your questions are not biased. Matlab, your questions are not leading them to... right? There is some bias, yeah, of course there is some bias, but then the FGDs that you do, that helps you actually assess. The other thing is we also track them longer term, like, so when the program has ended, few months after that, then 6 months, then 1 year, and then where are they progressing in their career? Have they actually, how many masters? So they have said that they would do masters, right? Vigyan Shala International. 86 weeks.
I was curious about is, you mentioned that Mentor to Go especially has been running for about 5 to 6 years, right? She for STEM, I'm not sure how long it's been running for. 5 years.
4.
Okay. Right. So I'm also curious, how has the curriculum evolved from when it began? And was there a period of time for which you chose to run the same curriculum without making any changes, and then you started making changes as you went? And how did that process look like?
So I think a major change that happened was making it more, earlier we used to run in-person school programs, but then we realized with the start of COVID and everything, it was not working out, and we had to reach mentorship to as many students as possible, right? So then we realized that moving it to a platform, a digital platform, is going to make it much more scalable. So that was one major change that happened. And because of that, we had to adapt our curriculum also that way. So some of the activities that you could run in person, right, that cannot happen online. So we had to customize it accordingly. So that is something, one change that happened. And then as we gathered more inputs, more feedback from everyone, we started understanding how the delivery or the modality could be changed or adjusted according to what people prefer. Like one of the examples I gave you, from multiple steps we came down to one single step. We reduced a lot of quizzes which we thought were, kind of just correct or wrong answers and not really giving them a chance to explore themselves. So these are some of the changes that we made. And our placement curriculum, which I did not speak about before. So our work readiness curriculum has been the primary one, right, that we have been running. And then we realized the need for a placement curriculum. Now placement is a little more targeted compared to a work readiness curriculum, which is for the pre-final year students, right? So it has the whole gambit of thinking about yourself, thinking about your environment, people around you, what do you want to do, what are your priorities, and work related skills. Compared to that, if you look at the placement curriculum, which is only for the final year students, it has very specific goals, like how or what you can say in an interview, what are some things not to say in an interview, what is the purpose of, what is the purpose behind some of the questions in an interview, how should you dress maybe when you go for an interview, what should you put in your resume, how it should be structured, these kind of things. So that's a very new curriculum. We started it we built it in 2022, and yeah, so these are some of the changes how our outlook towards the curriculum and the need for the curriculum has evolved.
Do you test the efficacy of each of the modules separately, or do you look at one overall?
Each of the program separately. Each of the program, yeah.
So there are these different components that you said under
This,
work
yes,
right, for
yes,
example.
yeah.
So for example, building a resume or going in for an interview. I assume these are different sessions that
These are
happen between the
different.
mentor-mentee.
Right, right.
So we're not looking at how each of these fare.
No,
We're looking
we
at
are looking at the scales. So those 6 scales that I spoke about in the beginning of the presentation, one is career decision making, self-esteem, and so on, right? So those are the scales that we measure. And all our curriculum, all our topics, like when you said resume building, mock interviews, setting a value system, things like that, they are aligned to those scales. So there was a whole exercise done to see if the topics align to and address those things, right? Like in the beginning of the program, if I rate myself very low on career decision making, but if the program is not really talking about anything related to career decision making, then I can't think of seeing a needle movement at the end, right? So our topics are aligned to those scales. So when you say how do you check the impact, it is only based on those scales. But there is another way, like I said, our feedback method is 3-pronged, right? So the second one that I was talking about is the fidelity check. There we go and check each session separately, how people have fared on each session. So that, but there is not like, a dashboard created or anything for that, for the effectiveness. It's only just with meetings and we share this is what should have been done, this is not done. Yeah.
Time is up, but our curriculum has significantly evolved from when I had joined. So we can talk about that later after the session. And to your question, we do track both each session, each module through the program. That's how the questions and everything is designed. So progression through the modules as well as at the end of the entire course. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. I think this will be the last question that we take, right?
So, when you were talking about the evaluation, you said about the security check that you do. Okay. So, I just wanted to understand a little bit about it. Like, what are the things that are like there, or what are the initial red flags that you see, like, which helps you like decide maybe like we need to intervene, or maybe this pair is not working out. We have to. So, just wanted to understand.
Right. I think the biggest indicator of something is not going right with a pair is the session completion rate. That is something that we track. How many, like in a month, how many sessions has this pair completed, right? So yeah, let me just stop there. That is the biggest indicator, and then maybe we can discuss this further after the session.
Right. Thank you, Anushila and Nisha, for sharing your knowledge and experiences with our audience. And there is a small token of appreciation from our end. Also, like we have sessions happening in auditorium and seminar hall, and there is a workshop in gallery after this. Yeah.
Thank you for your patience.